Warhammer The Old World, new CATAN, and more Game of Thrones TV. It's the first Tabletop News Tuesday of the year.
You made a good choice coming back here.
Welcome to Tabletop News Tuesday, our first news rundown of the week. Today, we're talking about Warhammer The Old World, a new CATAN game, and some more Game of Thrones TV shows. Remember, if you like these kinds of videos, be sure to like and subscribe them so we can keep making them. Now, on to the news.
Check this out.
Warhammer The Old World goes on pre-order this weekend. Games Workshop kicked off the new year with the announcement that they'd be kicking off their Warhammer Fantasy Revival by putting up not one but two massive launch boxes up for pre-order alongside a mix of new miniatures and a ton of older classic Warhammer Fantasy miniatures. For those of you who aren't as familiar with the whole Warhammer thing, Warhammer The Old World is a new game that takes place in the distant past of Warhammer Fantasy, before that world got blown up and destroyed by the forces of chaos and replaced with the Mortal Realms, the setting of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. The game will focus primarily on 9 different armies, including the Bretonnians and the Tomb Kings, both of whom will be the focus of the initial launch. Now, the Old World is deliberately meant to harken back to old school wargaming. You'll need to load your units onto trays and push them across the battlefield and consult a to-hit table to see if your attacks actually did damage. Now, a ton of units, rulebooks, and minis will be available to pre-order this weekend, and honestly, this could be one of the biggest tabletop stories to start the year. Warhammer Fantasy died with a fizzle, not a bang, but that was before popular games like Warhammer Total War and Vermintide were released, both of which focused on that Warhammer Fantasy setting. Now, will video games lead to a new generation of Warhammer Fantasy tabletop enthusiasts? Probably not. But we still can't wait to see how this game does. Expect our first impressions video next week.
Can't wait.
Baldur's Gate 3 is having some big issues on the Xbox. Larian Studios announced that a recent patch released to fix a save issue on the Xbox versions of Baldur's Gate 3 is not working as intended due to a firmware issue on Microsoft's end. According to Larian, this will have to be fixed by Microsoft and could take a while before a proper fix becomes available, which is just brutal. Larian said that players can use the cross-save feature of Baldur's Gate 3 to create backups as a workaround, and they are also working on bolstering this feature to help fans gain more play files while they are waiting for Microsoft to fix this issue. Now, Baldur's Gate 3 has had a pretty brutal launch on Xbox, and the bad news just keeps on coming. So if you have an Xbox and you're thinking about playing Baldur's Gate 3, you might want to hold off for a couple of months.
Wait.
The first big RPG Kickstarter of 2024 will be Valiant Adventures, Green Ronin's new superhero RPG powered by mutants and masterminds. Now, this is an RPG set in the Valiant universe, which was briefly the third most popular superhero universe during the 1990s. Valiant was revived about a decade ago with new versions of most of their characters, and Valiant even convinced Vin Diesel to appear in a Bloodshot movie back in 2020, which only flopped because it came out the weekend that the COVID lockdown happened, and not at all because it was absolutely terrible.
I don't believe you.
Anyways, expect to see the Kickstarter launch on January 16th with 3 books, a rulebook, a Game Master's Kit, and a source book about the world of Valiant, all planned for launch.
Compelling and rich.
A new CATAN game was announced, and it's all about climate change. CATAN New Energy is a brand new CATAN game set in modern times. Players will start off using fossil fuels to generate energy for their respective towns and cities, but will eventually have to decide whether to invest in renewable resources or stick with the cheaper fossil fuels and watch the sea level rise and wreck the island ecosystem. Now, this is one of 2 big CATAN releases for the year, along with Starfarer's Duel, which is a reboot of Starship Catan and is a 2-player game. Now, the cool thing about CATAN New Energies is it's going to actually be made with sustainable resources, so that means wood and paper and no plastic. That will come out in Q2 of this year.
Oh, what a day!
What a lovely day!
And finally, George R.R. Martin says he's working on not one, not two, but 3 animated series for HBO set in the same world as A Song of Ice and Fire. In a recent blog post, Martin said that he and HBO were working on 3 animated projects, including a long gestating project focused on the sea snake that was originally supposed to be live action, but switched to animation because half of that show is going to be set on the ocean. Now, Martin didn't give any details about the other new series that he's apparently working on, but it's possible they could either be that Aegon the Conquered series that they were talking about, or maybe the Dunk and Egg series, or something else entirely. One thing's for sure, though. Winds of Winter probably ain't coming in 2024.
Emotional damage.
So that's all the news that we have to start off this year. Let us know your favorite stories in the comment section, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons.